you, Sage, and welcome to the members of the media. The Vegas Golden Knights are pleased and excited today to announce the acquisition of Jack Eichel from the Buffalo Sabres. In return for Jack, we have traded Alex Tuch, Peyton Krebs, a first-round draft choice in 2022, which is top 10 protected, and then a second-round draft choice in 2023 in return for their third-round draft choice in 2023, so a rotation of picks in the 2023 draft. With Alex Tuch, he's a member of our original team, player that we acquired from Minnesota in expansion. He's gone from being a good young prospect to a tremendous young player in our organization. He's a quality person. Wish him nothing but the best. Thank him for his time in our organization. He was a really exciting player that, being from New York, I think will do great things for the Sabres organization. In Peyton Krebs, a quality young man, a high draft pick of our team, and a player that had made the NHL right out of camp. I think he's going to have a long career as a real productive forward. He's a player that coaches love, whether it's his coaches in junior, his coaches in Canada's national junior team. Last year, his time that he spent in the American Hockey League with our team in Henderson, and then this year with our NHL team under Pete DeBoer. So again, with Peyton, we wish him a great career. I hope that he does really, really well. In Jack Eichel, we are getting a player that I think is one of the top players in the league, one of the top centers in the league. He's in the prime of his career as a player who's just turned 25 years old. It addresses a need in our organization. For me, when you look at what an NHL contending team should look like, he's a really important piece of that. I know when we brought in Alex Pietrangelo, part of the motivation behind that addition was a Stanley Cup champion needs a defenseman like that, and we feel the same way about an elite center. And Jack gives us that. The price was high for him, obviously, in the terms of what we have sent to Buffalo, but at the same time, for a player of this ilk, it should be high. With that, I would open it up to questions. I guess I could probably take a guess at the first couple of questions and just mention, you may have heard that he has a neck injury. Jack and his team have been working diligently to sort out what their next steps are with respect to surgery. He will have surgery. He will have the ADR, which is artificial disc replacement. It's unique in relation to NHL players. It's not necessarily that unique in terms of society, but there's never been an NHL player have this type of surgery. We have a lot of respect for the work that's gone into this from his agent, his second opinion doctors, the specialists and experts that he's seen in this field. Will defer to their wishes and respect the choices that they make based on knowing how much work they've done to put themselves to prepare themselves for surgery, and obviously they're acting in what they believe is the best interests of Jack's health, not only in the short term but the long term, and we completely understand and respect that. So obviously that's going to be a question that would have been asked first. So maybe with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thanks, Kelly. We'll start with Jesse.
Hi, Jesse.
With Mark Stone and some other guys on this team, they have to take advantage of situations where a player that wouldn't normally be available is available. I guess do you feel like this is another one of those? And then how happy were you with the value?
I can hear Jesse, but I don't think that mic is working.
Yeah, they can hear on that.
Okay. Yeah, the NHL is always evolving league. There's situations with respect to players' contracts that might make them available. There's situations with salary cap that might make players available. There's situations with the wishes of players. I think you see now a lot of star players are looking at shorter deals to maintain a little more flexibility or control on their future. So there's different situations that present themselves, and we're not always interested in every situation that comes forward. There's certain players that we have aggressively gone after and tried to bring into our organization. Jack is one of those, and the age of the player, he's 25 years old. When you look at the National Hockey League, I guess as a whole, who those top centers are, when you look at the Western Conference and you've got a Connor McDavid, you've got a Nathan McKinnon, you've got an Anze Kopitar. You go to the east, you've got your Barkovs, your Barzels, Crosbys, Malkins. I'm sure I'm missing a few, but you've got that elite layer of player that I think Jack comfortably slots into, and because of that, and again, based on what I would say, that we've identified as a need, if we could address it this way, we felt that we would not be doing our organization justice to fail to pursue it. So that's the approach that we took. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to complete a trade. There's lots of teams, and our own included, where you have discussions with teams and there's not a finish line in sight, or a fit, or a price that teams are comfortable with either giving or receiving. So when Jack Eichel was available, when it was apparent that he may be moved, I guess what we knew to start with is we were interested, and from there that brings us to today.
Sportsnet. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned respecting the work that Jack Eichel's team put into determining the type of surgery he'd like to have. I'm just wondering, from an organization's perspective, like how much due diligence was done on your end to kind of make sure, all right, if this is the player we're going to acquire, that a procedure like that would ultimately be a successful one for him and of course the franchise.
Yeah, that's a good question, Kyle, and there's some unknowns, and we've been more of an observer to that process than a participant. First of all, he wasn't our player, so we don't have the right or the ability to weigh in with our opinions. What's been done at our end is our medical people are abreast of what they have been doing. When I say his team, I refer to his representation with CAA, Pat Brisson, and and I've been aware of what's been going on through my discussions with both Buffalo and his representatives, and as I touched on, we're respectful of what they want to do. Why wouldn't his people want what's best for him? So none of us in this room have the level of expertise that would be required for an opinion. I defer to the people that he's entrusted himself and his health to make that decision, and we'll obviously have a hand in next steps, rehabilitation, return to play, those types of things. But the decision of the surgery is one that we respectfully defer to Jack and his representatives. Well, it's really challenging to give you a time frame because it's never been done in this sport. I'm told that Jack has been able to be quite active in terms of training while he's injured, even being on the ice. It's contact that he would not be cleared to endure. I keep thinking 4 to 5 months, 3 to 4 months, but I say that because I see you all grab your pens and write it down. We don't know. We really don't know, and I'm not trying to suggest that we do know, but that might be the best guess I can give you right now. And the second question, sorry. Oh yeah. Again, I guess we look at the surgery in general terms has been people in martial arts have had this surgery, people in contact sports have had this surgery, no one in hockey has had this surgery. So does that put some uncertainty into it? I guess it does. Do we have a comfort level that he's going to return to full health? We do.
We'll go to Jesse Granger and then we'll go online to some questions.
Jesse Baker again, right? From an on-ice perspective, you mentioned number one center being a key piece for Stanley Cup defending team. I guess what immediate impact once he is on the ice do you think he has on the rest of the team?
Well, when you watch Jack play, size, speed, great playmaking ability, incredibly good hands and shot. His release is, special in terms of how quickly the puck comes off his stick. His ability to transport the puck up ice. He picks up a loose puck in your end, and then you're in their end. He's got that type of speed. He's going to, be a real important player on our power play. Just every key situation in a game that you need that top player to be involved. So again, the list of names that I gave you earlier of who some of those players are around the league, when you look at their usage, that's the same type of responsibility that Jack will have with us. And I believe the other thing that you sometimes overlook, because the first thing that you see with Jack is the talent. He's extremely competitive. He's an extremely competitive person. I really feel that he is going to have a lot to prove, and he is going to embrace this challenge.
Now open up to questions over Zoom. Raise your hand below. We'll do our best to get to you. We'll start with David Shane, Las Vegas. Review now.
Hi, Kelly. I'd like to go back to this summer and a couple of the moves that you made to clear some salary cap space. Did you have this move specifically in mind when you made those moves?
No. If you're giving me credit for that, I don't know that you even are. You're giving me too much credit. No, these things are always evolving, David, and we're like a lot of teams. The salary cap is a real tight process to manage. It will continue to be a tight process for us to manage, but the moves. I think you look around, a lot of teams, when they have an opportunity to create a little bit of flexibility, they try to do it, and I think that likely speaks somewhat to some of the moves we made, David. I think they were moves at the time made standalone for the reasons that I would have explained at that time. But obviously that's part of it. When those moves take place, it does give you a little bit of flexibility in the event that things change, right? But it wasn't related specifically at that time to these discussions.
Next we go to Justin Emerson, the Las Vegas Sun.
Hi, Kelly. Also on the salary cap, obviously right now it's not an issue with players on injury, but later in the year it could be. Do you kind of have a plan for how that might shake out, or do you kind of look at it as an evolving situation that you'll address when it needs to be addressed?
Well, I think when we have these media availabilities, you often ask that question, or one of your colleagues ask that question, and as I sort of just spoke to, it's an ongoing dance that capologists around the National Hockey League have to be adept at. As we speak, we've got in excess of $30 million that's either on long-term injury or eligible to be on long-term injury. So that takes any immediate pressure off of our salary cap. You do have to ask yourself what happens if we return to full health, and yet sometimes you never return to full health. We've never experienced anything quite like what we're going through right now. One of the downsides of injuries like we have currently is they sometimes lead to more injuries as from overuse of players and that type of thing. So if and when that poses a challenge for us, Justin, will address it at that time. I guess all things considered, we're happy to have Jack Eichel as part of our organization and prepared to deal with that if need be.
Time for a few final questions this morning with Kelly, and so we'll go to Nick Katsanika with NHL.com.
Hey Kelly, just want to hammer you for some details. When and where will Jack have surgery? Can you give us any details on just the due diligence that your medical staff did? Did you examine him? And then lastly, like when he does return, do you have any idea how long? There's a difference between coming back on the ice and playing to your potential. Any idea how long that process will be to get him where he needs to be?
I do not know where he will have surgery. I believe that they have shortlisted that to, 2 or 3 possibilities. I expect he will have surgery quite soon. I would tell you that. You're asking questions, Nick. You're not only asking when will he return to play, and then how much longer after that will he be playing at the top of his game? Is I think what you asked me, and those are impossible questions to answer. I think what we do believe is he will make a full recovery. We do believe if he makes a full recovery that he'll return to form. With respect to exactly what that time frame, he has not played hockey since March, so that there'll be a period of time required for him to return to form, assuming the surgery goes exactly how as they intend and his rehab goes exactly as. And there's just too many variables there, Nick, to say with much certainty, when he'll be in the position you described.
We'll take 2 final
I guess the only thing,
questions.
Nick, I might just add, Nick, sorry. The only thing we are sure of is that, the surgery should happen quickly, and we're, optimistic that it will go as planned. So sorry I can't be more clear for you there.
Next, we'll go to Ben Goetz, Las Vegas Review Journal.
Hi Kelly, you mentioned at the beginning how you identified a number 1 center as kind of a need for your organization. Was that something when you evaluated this group that's gotten close but not quite back to the Stanley Cup final from the first year? Did you view that as something that could help you take the next step?
Yeah, I should have done a better job of explaining it, because you've all heard me say, as recently as this summer, I really like our centers, and I do. I really like the depth we have at that position. I like the people we have at the position. This is different, okay? So we weren't in the market necessarily for another centerman. In fact, we were not in the market for another centerman, but this isn't just another centerman. So I should differentiate that from some of the discussions that we've had in the past. So your question again then, could you just refresh me on exactly what it was that you're asking, sorry?
Did you view this as a pressing need, a number 1 center for the organization in order to get back to the Stanley Cup final?
No, but I guess I would draw the comparison of Alex Pietrangelo. I don't think we felt we had a pressing need for a number 1 defenseman. When you look at, I think at that time it was Tampa that won the Stanley Cup. When you look at the makeup of their team, when you look at a Hedman, when you look at Stanley Cup winners, and what you kind of believe in your mind and your heart that you think you need to have on those teams, that's why we were interested in Alex Pietrangelo. We weren't in on a bunch of other defensemen or that type of thing. I would use the same analogy and comparison with respect to Jack Eichel in relation to our centers. We weren't in the market elsewhere for centers. This was interest that was solely determined by the quality of the player that was available, and to the point I made earlier, I believe if you look at Stanley Cup champions, an elite center is certainly a big part of that. You can go back as many years as you want, but that's generally what you see in terms of the makeup of a team. They have to have that elite center. They have to have that number 1 D. They have to have great goaltending. So those are all things that you work towards if you can, and we were able to in this situation.
Final question this morning goes to Michael Trikos, Post Media.
Hi Kelly, thanks for doing this. Whether it's Pacioretty, Stone, Petrangelo, now Eichel, this is a team that's not afraid to go big game hunting. I think only 5 players are remaining from that first year of expansion. What message are the Vegas Golden Knights sending by continually being involved in these big deals?
Well, I touched on it a little bit earlier. We're not interested in every big deal. Quite frankly, there's lots of players that you hear might be available or you know are available that we are not interested in when you look at what we're trying to accomplish with our team. The players you mentioned, I think it speaks for itself why you'd be interested in those players. And I've said on different occasions that it's easy to sit and do nothing, but I don't think you're doing the best service to your organization if you aren't trying to improve your team and build a winner. So in terms of the message to the players, I think that that message gets misconstrued a little bit. I think the players in our dressing room love the fact that we provide as an organization every possible resource that they would ever want to be the best that they can be, and we do everything as an organization that we can do to try to help them win. So I know that I've had conversations with players before that have been in dressing rooms where the good older players are getting traded away, and how discouraging and disheartening that is for a player. So when you ask about our dressing room, what our players think, I think that's what you would find. With respect to the quality of the people in there, we've got great leadership in our room with our captain Mark Stone. We've got former captain Alex Petrangelo. We've got a former captain in Max Pacioretty. Jack Eichel is a former captain. Riley Smith is an original Golden Knight who provides great leadership. Your Jonathan Marchessault, so is your Braden McNabbs. I can go down the list. Robin Leonard. I can go down the list of guys that provide really strong leadership for our team. So, that's a longer answer probably than you expected, but it just gives me the chance to sort of speak to it on a couple of different levels.